Cheers, welcome to my channel. This is the end of the month for February Tarot Oracle reading. And Taurus, you are the star of this astrological insight. If your sun sign is not Taurus, we still all have a little bit of Taurus in us. If you have your birth chart, which house is Taurus in? That's where this energy shows up for you. My goal is to provide you with valuable information to empower you. Keep in mind, this is a general or collective reading. Parts may or may not resonate. Just take what works for you, leave the rest. Also, this is a timely reading, meaning if you're watching it at this time, it's the perfect time for you. Having said that, if it's been a while since I posted this, what was going on back then in your life, it may give you further clarity as to your situation now. We're going to begin with the underlying energy from the bottom of the deck, and we have the Fool going on his journey. Woohoo, Taurus, you're starting at the 0 point here. So the Fool begins his journey at the 0 point, and it's a cycle that takes is in major arcana of the tarot. And he begins at the 0 point, and the journey is over, or the cycle is over, at card number 21, which is the World. So he goes through all the cards of the major arcana, and then the cycle is over. Some people take a whole lifetime to go through a cycle, and some people go through many or several cycles in their lifetime, just depending on circumstances and character and preferences, that kind of energy. And so the Fool is, he's got the sun behind him, and he's got this little dog as his companion, and he's off. All right, that's a great way to start a new reading. And then we have the energy of the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is sitting on her throne. She is considered to be one of the most sexy and natural beauties of the queens. She has a sunflower in her left hand, representing her really sunny disposition, basically. The sunflower follows the sun, and so does she. The sun represents God in the tarot, and this is her little black cat. A lot of people wouldn't get a black cat or have a black cat around because they feel like they might be bad luck. She doesn't care about that. She doesn't believe in superstition. She uses this veil, represents the thin veil between the spiritual world and the physical. And she uses both. So she uses her intuition and her logic to come to creative solutions. She has a happy disposition, not because she's not aware of the problems around her. She's very aware of them. She just doesn't worry about them. She figures out a way to deal with it so that it doesn't bother her. And she is representing, this wand is representing the element of fire. And it also is like made of wood. It's from a tree, and trees represent the ancestors with deep roots and also the descendants who are the offshoots. And this is your internal forces. So we're the first card out. Whoa, yay. This is off to a great start. Ultimate fulfillment. So this card is saying that this is the 10 of Cups, and the cups represent love. They represent romantic love a lot of the time, but they can also represent love of other people that are not romantic, as well as what you love to be and what you love to do and how much you love yourself. So this is talking about you love your partner, you love your children, you love where you live, you love your home, you love your neighbors, you love your career, you love love. Everything's going great. That's basically, so like, let's just end it here, Taurus. I'm just joking. We'll keep going. So we have the energy here of the moon, the new moon, which we it's the 17th today now. It's Chinese New Year today. Happy New Year. We're moving into the year of the fiery horse from the year of the snake. And this energy is following the cycles of the moon. So the Chinese New Year, or Chinese zodiac, follows the lunar calendar, whereas the Western new year is placed by the Gregorian calendar. This person is sitting and they are in a position where they can't really see a way to find the solution to get, like, this is representing how you feel about yourself right now. But there's something that you want. You're on a new cycle here, and there's something that you want to work on, or something that's bothering you. And so this represents someone who has a somewhat closed mind. They can only see two ways, my way or the highway. That kind of Taurus energy. But it's actually, this or that or this kind of energy. And this is exactly the energy of the internal forces. When you find yourself saying, what if I do that? What if this happens? What if I do this? Then what if that happens? What if they do that and I do this? Then what? That kind of energy, the woulda, shoulda, couldas of life, those are the internal forces. And this represents someone who is not able to see, only able to see two options when there's, she needs to get into this energy here of the Queen of Wands, where she uses her intuition as well as the logic. And that's what the new moon is representing there. And the new moon that's going to be tonight is also, it is in the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is about the group energy and looking after the whole. And so this is kind of an energy of, instead of, and it's opposed by Leo, because Leo's on the opposite end of the horoscope wheel. And your opposing sign has a big effect on you. Leo is all about, hey, what about me? I'm the leader here. That kind of energy. So there's a bit, there's that back and forth there. And on the 1st of February, we had the full moon was in Leo, and Aquarius was opposing it with their energy. So this is, but at the same time, we also have an eclipse. So the eclipse is a solar eclipse, and that is that's when the moon appears to be blocking out the sun for a short time. And that energy has a tendency to make, when like it hits, like bang, like that kind of energy. It creeps up on you for a few days, but you can kind of feel an unease, like, oh, something, it's like something big is changing. And it could be just how you feel about things, but it also could be like there's like something that's going to be very different. And the eclipse is generally lasts about 6 months, that energy. So it's not like a small thing. It's nothing to be afraid of. Sometimes the eclipses are beneficial because they bring about change in our lives in ways like where we only can see two ways. The eclipse will show you right now, hey, there's a third way right here. That's the energy. So let's see what else is going on here. Okay, so you're feeling like a wounded warrior, yet you're fulfilled with love. It could be pentacles you're missing. So let's see. These are the actions that you've taken. This is the 9 of Wands, representing the element of fire and action. And this is, these are seeds that you plant, and like by your actions or other people's actions that have an effect on you. And 8 of them have landed, but it looks like it's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot out of you. And it's like, here you are with the blindfold on. You have the blindfold off here. You understand now like what it's going to take. But like you have a headache now, It's been really challenging, but you're still standing and you're leaning on the 9th wand here, which you're holding close to your heart, because you're not quitting. This is the wounded warrior. This is someone that is absolutely determined to have this, and they know the only way that they're going to have that is to stay on their divine path. And that's the only way that you can achieve ultimate fulfillment. Then we have the moon coming in. So the moon is significant. I'm advising people right now, like, to really be this fire horse energy coming in we were in the year of the snake, and it's very different energy again. So like there's a lot of factors right now astrologically that are affecting people. And you can look into those further if you look at on my new moon, full moon playlist. I just completed readings for each of the signs regarding this new moon energy, because there's a lot there, but I'm just going to touch lightly on it, what I did, but also just understanding that this fire horse energy is extremely like it's passionate in matters of love and very heartfelt, and it really inspires people to set high goals. The problem is that it's like a galloping horse. It wants to run. And so it's kind of like setting your goals so high that there's no way that you're going to have the time to accomplish them in the time you've allotted, and then feeling really burnt out like this and just like so exhausted, and it's hard to cross the finish line or to enjoy the process. And that it is also not a time to be impulsive. So if you're making big decisions at this time, it's a good idea. Like this, on the 3rd of March, we will be having a full moon, and there's an eclipse on that, but it's a lunar eclipse. And that is going to be a better time. Like that's when the parts that are missing that you can't see right now, because the moon represents the hidden illusions, that or illusions because of hidden secrets, basically. And that is the kind of energy that you like. Now is a really, really good time if you're thinking about making a big move or doing something that's going to affect you for a long time, to do a lot of research right now. Make sure you do that research, and then you'll be in better shape to move forward at the end of this month. Right now, it's not a good time to make impulsive decisions or be angry, out of emotions. Don't get all pissed off and then tweet away and then regret it the next day. That's the energy. And you see this lobster is coming out of the emotional waters here, and it's not easy sometimes to stay on your divine path. And this is clearly showing it. And this is a domestic dog and a wolf both howling at the moon. And this is talking about, have you been a little bit too domestic, or have you been a little bit too much on the wild side? Because there's got to be a balance there. Work hard, play hard kind of energy, or you end up like this and like this, where you just don't know what direction to take anymore. So this lobster is coming out of the emotional waters and taking the risk to go past them and stay in between these two pillars to not get sidetracked by illusions and go off their path. And you see this moon here. This is representing the eclipse energy, the sun and the moon. And the moon, look at this quarter moon here is on top of the sun. And this also represents full moon, new moon, and the eclipse energy. So it's a really good time to go inward, do a lot, like your intuition will be really sharp right now, and then add that to your logic. And this card sometimes can represent someone who is just blocking out everything around them because they want to go inward and they don't want to be distracted, to use their third eye instead of their physical eyes. And so this is talking about the King of Pentacles. So that energy I was getting, that this is about money, is coming in. So the King of Pentacles represents someone who, this is generational wealth. It's a legacy that you can hand down to your children, like old money kind of energy. And the King is, really admired for his business acumen. Generally, someone that is the King of Pentacles would have have something to do with banking, mortgage broker, real estate broker, could be a land, a developer in real estate, having to do with land, because the pentacles represent earth. It can also be like the energy of, what else? Like investments and financial advisors, that kind of energy. So this is talking about the pentacles are really, they don't just mean money. I mean, what they represent is health, wealth, and happiness on the physical earth. And a big part of that, of course, is money. But you could have all the money in the world and not be living the lifestyle that you want. So this is more about lifestyle than it is just about the money. And then we have the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords has been coming up a lot, and I feel it's because of this energy. Like there's a big wallop of energy, because on top of everything else, Neptune moved on January 26th. It moved into Mars, or into Aries energy, which is ruled by Mars, and it's way more aggressive than the Pisces energy. Very different. The Pisces energy is more dreamy, and this is the planet Neptune's huge, and so it moved. It takes 14 years for it to move from one sign to the next. And it just moved on January 26th from Pisces after being there for 14 years. And now it's in Aries. So you compare, like, Pisces is the most mature sign of the zodiac. It's about water, it's dreamy kind of, and it's the old boys club kind of energy. And then Aries is like fiery and a newborn baby. And, you know, newborn babies are loud because that's the only way they have to communicate. So the energy is very, very different. And it's basically saying, how do you approach, idealism is about how you want to approach life, basically. How do you approach business? How do you approach your relationships? It's basically saying, what you were doing for the last 14 years, now you got to do it totally opposite because you're in the sign of Aries now. So it can be beneficial, for you if you prefer that energy, but it's still a big shift. And at the same time, we have Saturn, which is all about responsibility, moved into Aries as well and joined Neptune. And it's all about responsibility. And that's that same kind of energy with this moon right now. Hey, I want to shine my light, Leo is saying. And the new moon is saying, I don't think so. I think you're going to look after other people first. And so this energy is like, this energy is representing that kind of torment within yourself. So this card can represent, someone battling others. But it's in your internal forces. And your internal forces on this bottom half are talking about those what ifs, and you can control your internal forces. You can't control what other people do or say, but you can control whether you react or respond to it. So this card, I feel, is representing for the internal forces. There's of the three minds. Like the subconscious mind is the mind that's developed by the time you're about 6 or 7. And when you're a baby, you can't remember, most of us can't remember being a baby, and a good part of, like, maybe around kindergarten, we start having memories, like more clear memories. So really, the subconscious mind is made up of the thoughts of the people that were put in charge of your care, and it's heavily, heavily imprinted on you, because you think about a newborn infant and how much they learn just in the first year. So quite often this will it will have that effect on your idealistic nature, like how are you going to approach life? And, how do you feel about money? Were you told when you were little, money doesn't grow on trees and you have to work hard for money, and, we can't afford this, and no, we can't afford that kind of energy. If you're raised that way, it's going to have a heavy imprint on how you feel about money. And then there's also, the energy of the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is your soul's needs. A lot of people say, oh, I'm a human being with a soul, but it's more accurate to say that you are actually a soul traveling in a human body to experience and navigate through life. This is your vehicle. And your soul has needs, and if you don't if you don't take care of your soul's needs, it becomes loud like a crying infant, like the Aries energy. It can get very loud as well. And then we have the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is what you have a handle on. You see, he's got a good grip there. He understands, this is what I've seen, this is what I've heard, This is my experience. This is the thoughts that I have about what's happened. The only problem with that is that you can only see about 4% of the spectrum of light. So all that other energy out there, which often scientists will refer to as dark energy, dark matter, that energy is, you can't see it, but it still means it doesn't mean there's nothing there. And so your eyes aren't as accurate as you might think they are. And that's why, like, there's a saying, because you have eyes you cannot see. That's why you need to sometimes go inward and look at your intuition and use your third eye. My mom used to say, I have eyes in the back of my head, and we believed her because somehow she always knew if we were up to something we shouldn't be. Or if she had told us to go do something and we did a kind of a shifty job of it, she wouldn't even have to look at it and to get back there and do that properly kind of energy. And she could look at you from across the room and you would just stop whatever you were doing. You knew just from one glance from her. And so this is about your identity and your self-image, as I said, and this is talking about how you're feeling about your self-worth. So it feels like you're not feeling confident in the decision that you have, or something that you have a decision to make, and you're tired. And this is also talking about communication from your early life. So you might have had, because I was picking up that energy, people that were working very hard for their living, and that can, like coming home exhausted and like, oh, work is so hard, and that kind of teaches you, oh, work hard, not work smart kind of energy. And so it's, it has that effect on, like, as I said, that early upbringing can really affect how you feel about work and, your career, etc. And then we have the home and family, emotional. So I'm just getting, you come from a family that's quite emotional as well. That's just the energy I'm picking up. So it's talking about, if you're raised in a family with a lot of drama, then when there's no drama, you feel like there's almost like something wrong. Like your subconscious mind is saying, why isn't everybody yelling? Why isn't everybody upset? Why isn't everybody super happy? It's like the extremes. And then we have the creativity, romance, and children. So this is talking, yes, generational wealth. So there's some sort of energy around this money, and that's what I was picking up. But you're on a new journey, and this is showing like you understand that you're supposed to be happy and have this total fulfillment, but somehow there's an argument within yourself, and this is your daily routine and your habits kind of energy. So let's see what more we can suss out here. We've got for the external forces. Okay, yeah, this is a card talking about someone who's doing a lot of multitasking, very busy, juggling time and energy, and sometimes having to juggle money. This can represent someone that's working 2 jobs, is maybe you're going to school and then you have a job to pay to go to school kind of energy. This is also talking about, when you multitask, you can get to the point where you're multitasking so much that you have more quantity than quality work. And then you're going back and you're having to double back and do things over again. And that just gains momentum. So this is talking about that fire horse energy, being really careful not to get into a place where you're juggling and juggling and juggling and can't catch up. This can also represent, this card says, juggle your options, but never juggle your morals. So let's see, that's representing the external forces. And the external forces, you'll know that's what it's causing it. Because you'll be saying, what the EF happened. I've been going along and I've been doing everything what I need to do, and now this is happening. What happened? External forces happened. So here, yeah, and this is you feeling the need to stand your ground here, this energy here. And so this is the actions of others, and this is you saying, I'm going to protect what I feel in my heart, what I need to do. And this is going up for higher ground, and you are what you'll notice, there's a boot on this foot and a shoe on the other. This can sometimes represent being in between two energies. You know, like we're on the new year right now, just moving into the new year, moving from that Pisces energy into that Aries energy with Neptune and Saturn being there, and like that back and forth, you know, this energy. And so this is talking about conviction beyond a doubt, though. You've decided that you will fight for what is yours. That's the energy that I'm getting here. Okay, and then we have, once you decide that you deserve this and you're going to take action, you know, he's got this wand is protecting his heart. And then we have the World card coming in here. And the World is talking about, you know, a brand new world. Now, this would be the end of a cycle once you decide this. That's the energy. So this is talking about how you feel about your marriage and your partnerships and commitments. That it's like you have to fight for your position, is what I'm getting. And then this is there's going to be a transition regarding that. This is about hidden secrets coming out. Anything that is holding you back, like that's been secretive or whatever, is going to come out, and you'll be in a much better position. Like once it's about you making that choice that you're going to take a stand on something and move forward, and that's where this energy then comes in. And then the Pentacles follow. That's good to see. So the Queen of Pentacles is sitting on her throne, and she is like very much stable like the King. She's known for being very, very resourceful. She can make something out of nothing, and she prefers quality over quantity. And if that's your energy, but you're doing this, it's really frustrating. And it's like that, the Queen, she's not flashy with her money. We're talking old money here. And when the King and Queen, like they're showing up together, if you're in a couplehood, if this is representing energy of your husband or your wife. Now remember, these are archetypes. So the King could be a female in the masculine energy, and the Queen could be male in their feminine energy. But generally it would be, when the two show up like this, it's talking about a couple. And so it could be saying that, because this is in your creativity and romance and children. And you know, the thing is about the King and Queen of Pentacles, when they're a couple, some people might say of all the signs, or of all the elements, they're the most like boring. Like they're so stable that there's no drama, and you know, that's actually a good thing. It's good to have stableness in your commitments and get your drama by going to the theater, you know. But if you're raised in a family that's really emotional, I'm seeing like, you know, your typical, what you see in the movies, Italian family with like 8 kids, and everybody's talking, and, you know, la, 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 you know, there's always noise and that, whatever. This is totally the opposite of that. This is like calm, stable, calculated, you know, making rational choices, that kind of energy. Which, people can really mistake that, if you've been raised like this, as being boring when it's actually stable. So really look into that if that's the energy that you're feeling, because as I said, get your drama elsewhere than with your partner. Like if you have someone who's stable with a partner, like that's a really good thing. And judgment is being called of some sort. So the Judgment card is coming in, and this is representing judgment from external forces. But this external force is God himself and the universe coming down and saying there needs to be some justice here. So something must have happened. I feel like you're supposed to be in this energy, but you're like struggling, like juggling money for some reason. And I feel like something may have happened because we're talking generational wealth here. I don't know, it could be, and it's sometimes like this card is representing the ancestors are literally coming out of their coffins to say, hey, thank God, we're finally going to get some justice here. And the descendants are, you know, everybody's cheering, the trumpet's blowing, Judgment Day is finally here. God is going to set things straight, and that means sometimes that this is going to trickle down into the 3D in the form of legalities. And so there might be something that you're in a legal battle with right now, and you have had to fight for what's yours, basically. I feel like this is representing that kind of energy. And it's interesting because this is commitments, marriage, and partnerships. And yet this should be a very, so you and your partner might have very different ideas about how to spend money. That's the energy that I'm picking up. And then we have the Hermit. So the Hermit goes up to, when the Hermit has had a dark night of the soul, which is when you come to a crisis and you have to look after whatever this is, then the Hermit will climb up to the top of the mountain and take his lantern, and when that fills with the light of his North Star, your North Star is your destined path, then he comes down from the mountain and he his rod is golden, and that's saying, okay, now you know how to take action. And then we have, so we have the Three of Pentacles coming in here. And the Three of Pentacles is saying you're in an elevated, this is coming from external forces though. I feel, and like we've got this energy over here, I feel like one of you in this partnership here, this marriage, or you know, whatever, if it's a marriage or a common law, or that we're talking about business with partners, is in an elevated position and was making decisions, I feel. And the decisions, they were collaborating with other people that were not in alignment with your goals, and it's caused a major problem. And this energy, this Three of Pentacles, is like it's saying, hey, you're in an elevated, or your partner is in an elevated position, and that's really, like, people are really noticing the good work. Having said that, they may not be, they have plans here, and so these are their plans. And you're in the elevated position, so you want to make sure that any contracts you sign or anything are definitely in alignment with what you and your partner want in your marriage, because otherwise you could be expected to work like 60 hours a week, and that's the way it is. This card can quite often represent secret societies, and that's coming up a lot right now because of the energy in the with the files coming out. Like, that's dominating the world right now. These files coming out, and people like the elite energy of what they, you know, like how different that is from what the average person is in alignment with. We're really seeing that being brought out every day more and more. And this energy is talking about that. You know, not knowing what the uppers do with their social life. What are they doing? And I'm not going to get into that here, but in this reading. But that's the energy, and so this card can quite often represent secret societies, and secret societies have rules that you have to follow, like to be in their society, and they have rituals, and they have handshakes, and they have all, you know, this can represent a church. It can represent, you know, Masons. It can represent cults. It can represent all sorts of energy, like whatever it is. But if you're part of the group, then the group has to be more important. That's that Aquarius energy with the Leo energy. That's where that's coming in. And it's coming up a lot, this card right now, because of the energy of the Epstein files, and also because of the this new moon in Aquarius, and the fact, you know, opposing the Leo energy. So a lot of people are really like struggling with that right now. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to look after everybody. I want to look after myself. I want to have some time to myself, kind of energy. So let's look into this a little bit more and get some clarification. If you want to leave off here, please give it a like and a comment if you've enjoyed it or you got value out of it. I really appreciate it. And we're going to clarify with my oracle, Tales from the Vector. And this is TAILS. And I have a website, talesfromthevector.com. I started this oracle in 2007, and I completed the final paintings, 64 of them, in 2020. And there were some big dragon paintings. These are dragons from the future, from the Intergalactic Federation of Light. And I have had them out and about in the past at my seminars when I used to teach seminars, and also at psychic fairs, but I didn't have all the cards done. And so now I do have all the paintings done, and I'm gathering the information to put out there. And it's you may have noticed in life that when you put stuff on paper, it's way different. Oh, there we have it. These are the cards that want to come out. All right. This is them. Yeah, so I'm just wanting to play with the cards until I don't want to write the book twice, basically. And so in the description box below, I'll put the cards in the order that they have. The numbers on these cards are correlated with the numbers in the gallery of the paintings. So you can check that out if you're interested. So what we have here on the Fool card is a transition, which of course is what we're talking about here. And this is on the number 13. It was the 13th that Saturn moved in to argue with Neptune in that aggressive Mars energy. So I'm just getting that you might be feeling that on some level. This, remember how I said that the Queen of Wands the sunflowers follow the sun, and it's about staying on your destined path, making sure that any contracts you sign or any agreements you make with other people are in alignment with you and your partner's goals in life. We don't want to work 60 hours a week. We want to work 40 hours a week because we have children, and we want to be able to spend some time with her or invest some time with our children. And then we have the devil energy coming in, covering this. So this is of your spirituality. This is about giving up your freedom because you sign contracts that are not suitable for you. This is temptation. The devil card represents temptation, and this card is also represented by Saturn, the planet Saturn, and so that energy is really affecting the energy in a really strong way. And that moved in. What moved in on the 13th. And, then we have Valentine's Day, and then moving into this new energy. So it's been a very, I can just see when you're in this energy, someone maybe being tempted to do things in a little bit different way so that it's not so challenging, that kind of energy. It's got to be an easier way, and maybe that easier way wasn't such a good idea after all, because it wasn't in alignment with your goals. So the energy here, I always cover the devil card with the next card up, and that's so that I can see, the devil never does his own dirty work, so it's he has a minion come in and do it, or God will cover that energy. And we have the energy of Gemini on this. So this is about communication. Making sure that communication is really strong, because this could be productive. If you're in alignment with that energy, it can be productive for you, but if you're not, it's not. And this is also, I feel, saying that, remember what I said about the subconscious mind? It's something to do with the way you were raised to think about earning money in that kind of energy. And there might be some healing that needs to be done there, going, inward and really figuring out what your driving forces are. And this Aries energy coming in, it's not a bad thing to switch from 14 years of the way we did things, but people don't like change. It's just, which is kind of funny, because change is the one thing that we can always count on. I just want to point out, when horoscope signs come in, I'm not talking about a Gemini did it, although you could be like, oh no, a Gemini did it. But that could be true for you. But for me, I'm looking at what can we learn from that sign, because we have a little bit of every sign within us. And this is talking about having to learn things again. It's like being in kindergarten, because we're in this new energy now. And from that, you know, with Saturn and Neptune in that sign right now in particular, we're feeling it. And this is saying, use your intuition. It's the time of the moon. You know, today's a good time to go inward and meditate and, you know, really figure out, okay, how do I want this to play out? What do I really, like, go to your heart and feel, you know, that kind of energy. And we have, oh, it's this card here. The Hierophant. So the Hierophant represents traditional structure, and, you know, maybe having to do things slightly differently. At this time is the energy. I don't see any, like, we have the Judgment coming in. So the Hierophant is the one that carries out the judgment. So this would be like in a court of law, or that kind of, and the Hierophant has his hand in the form of his right hand is in the form of a blessing. So I feel like if there's judgment being called, it's going to put you out of this situation. You would know probably if there's something to do with your money, because this is a lot of money, and it could have been something that happened with your ancestors. Like, it could be that far, you know, like your grandma and grandpa kind of energy. And like this quite often can represent opening Pandora's box and finding out, oh my goodness, there's things I didn't know about my family. And also it can talk about, you know, like skeletons coming out of the closet. So that kind of energy, but it could be a good thing for you if you find out that there was some money missing somewhere. An inheritance of some sort. So the need to be right. This is, it's a karmic space, because if you have the need to be right, then it's like this energy where you get stuck. I have to be right about this. And it's also like if you don't agree with something with your partner, the need to be right is stronger than the need to be happy. So you have to pick, it's saying pick your battles. Don't make mountains out of molehills. We have the energy here. This is talking about harmony in 2026 as compared to 2025. When we moved in from that 2025 to 2026, we were actually ending a 10-year cycle and moving into a new cycle as well. So that's affecting a lot of people. And now we have the second new year on top of the last new year. And that's like, again, that fire horse energy. And we have we don't have any communication coming in from the Knights, which represents the horse energy in this reading. We have the manifester. So yes, this is talking about how do you manifest. The Earth Star is talking about these pentacles. Yeah, there's something about that. If you don't know about it, I'm getting you will know about it soon. And then there's jealousy coming in here. So isn't that interesting? Because that's your marriage, commitment, and partnerships. So if it's a partnership in a business or something like that, but this can also be sibling rivalry. So there could be some money that in the family that you don't know about, and there could be some jealousy there. Well, I'm not quite sure. Like it'll play out if it's, because this is saying that judgment is coming in, and this is also like the next card is the star. And see, that's talking about innocence. And you were meant to shine. This is talking your North Star, this energy where you are putting that North Star energy is in the lantern, and you're coming back down the mountain and taking action now to clean this up. Interesting. So the star energy, you were meant to shine. And I feel like this energy here is going to change because judgment is coming in. Right here we have a transition. This is talking about Scorpio energy. So this is talking about, again, we've got Mars and Pluto, but this is talking, are you going to be elevated from these decisions, or is this about conquering? Scorpio at its best is an energy of uniting people. And Scorpio is, that energy is about that. And it's about using the sacral chakra to be able to manifest. That's where our creativity comes from. The best creation we have from our sacral chakra energy is a baby. So, you know, like what could be more creative than that, really? And what could be more fun to create than that, actually? Abuse of power. So abuse of power is, you know, there seems to be something around that here, and it's sitting right on this pentacle energy. This is in your higher learning. So I feel like that's the energy that you're going to learn, and it's disruption. What's fun for some is not fun for everyone. I feel like there's some sort of judgment coming in that you're going to hear about that is, you know, some sort of disruption that it's causing in your life is going to be over. And maybe you know what that is, but you're waiting for the judgment to come in. We have the Virgo energy here, which is talking about really strong communication coming in. So we do have some communication coming in. And this is talking about, again, this energy I feel of being brought up. The external, like, you know, your subconscious mind, as I said, really is about external forces. And so the Virgo energy is, you know, talking about anal criticism versus analytical critique. And there's a fine line. And so it's talking about, you know, cleanliness is next to godliness, putting things in order. But I feel like that's kind of an energy between you and your partner. Maybe you could work out with better communication. Mercury is also going into retrograde on the 26th of February, which means communication can be a little bit more challenging. So, you know, see if you can sit together, and if you have a difference, work it out. Because then we have here again saying that it's a whole new world when you do so. So this is getting neutral to the extremes so that you can be comfortable somewhere in the middle. And I feel like this need to be right, making mountains out of molehills. It's kind of like an energy of, you know, like, yeah, and look at like the last card here, which is just upside down, the Tower. This can be talking about, you know, leading to a reality check that you can't ignore if you keep letting this energy. I feel there's an energy between the two of you where you both have a need to be right and are stubborn about it. You know, Taurus, you can be a little bit stubborn. You may have noticed. I call that discipline, actually, because I have a Taurus moon. But that kind of energy, you have to watch. Like, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? That's the energy coming in here. But all in all, it looks like it's shifting. So I do hope you've enjoyed this reading, and please give it a like and comment if you have. It really empowers me to build my channel. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing if you resonate. And I will be back with another reading for you that will be about beginning the new month in March. Bye for now.